Welcome back, everyone, to the Healthy Habit Podcast, episode number 265 here. I'm your host, Dr. Dejan Matijevic of Healthy Habit Medical Center. And if you're new to the program here, it's going on our third year here of the podcast. So you want to subscribe now, folks. Stay in the loop. We're just building our database of videos here with almost 300 videos or so here. So thanks, guys, for being here. And let me introduce our guest here for today. Back representing Carlson Labs. We're talking with Jolie Root here. Sorry about that. Jolie Root, Senior Nutritionist and Educator at Carlson Labs. She's a nurse, nutritionist, health educator, and medical journalist who's been active in the natural products industry for 40 years now. That's 40 years, 4 decades. Jolie travels throughout North America and abroad, attending medical conferences, lecturing, and educating about the role of nutrition in integrative medicine. And we're going to be diving into inflammation here today, how important it is to have the right ratios between the different omega fats, and probably suggest a few good products that have been going strong here for over a decade now at Healthy Habit Health Foods. So Jolie, welcome back.
Thank you. It's always so much fun to talk to you. It's great to be here, and I can't believe you've done so many shows.
Yeah,
Wow, that's a thing to be proud of.
it flies by, but it's fun. It's great. I've learned so much just from doing the interviews, right? You're just
Oh yeah.
absorbing all the different angles of different products available, and staying on top of the research too. It forces you to stay on top of what's new and what's going on. So give us a little intro of what you wanted to highlight today, since the last time we spoke, which was, by the way, that was episode 231. If you want to go head over to the podcast main channel there and just type in 231 or Jolie Root, and you'll see all of our past episodes with Jolie. So where do you want to start us off with here today, Jolie?
Well, I think that it's always good to talk about omega-3s and how important they are. And one of the things that remains the truth, even though you and I are doing everything we can to have it not be true, is that most people in North America are just not getting enough of these super important fats. And when we talk about all of the different benefits, I mean, if you have a better status of omega-3, you actually live longer. So, hopefully that's what you want, but extending lifespan, extending health span, which is sort of what everybody likes to talk about these days. It's not so much the living longer that is the
Right.
bottom line, it's living well longer. So more years of feeling really healthy and really energetic and avoiding some of the big, you mentioned inflammation, some of the big health challenges that people face that are really chronic disorders, and they
Yeah.
are mostly all linked to inflammation. If you throw out the name of practically any kind of health issue, you and I can tell them, oh, what is the connection with inflammation to that health issue? So
Yeah.
getting your omega-3s right, getting in the right amount, and we'll talk about products, but getting in the right amount is one of the biggest things that you can do to balance inflammation so that inflammation is healthy and isn't hurting you. It's
Right.
part of the healing process. Inflammation is a natural response to an injury or an infection. And when it does its thing, and then it comes to resolution, when it's done doing whatever the healing process was, that's a good thing. The
Right.
problem is people eat so many pro-inflammatory foods and don't get enough omega-3s, and it is omega-3's job to get inflammation to resolve, to come to its end after doing whatever it was healing. Um, and so if people aren't getting enough omega-3s, inflammation becomes a chronic issue. And then you have this background of inflammation, and that just wreaks havoc. We know all kinds of people that can't move comfortably,
Right.
that have, cardiovascular risk issues, blood sugar balance issues, that just, again, name just about any issue, and we can tell you that there's an inflammatory component to it. So the
100%.
omega-3s, that's, I think, one of the most important things that we can talk about with that is making we're getting so that people have this chronic, ongoing, gated, relentless of inflammation day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And it cut out a little bit there, but yeah, it came through there at the end. The inflammation is something. We have the unstable internet connection here. Can you hear me, Jolie?
Yes,
Okay,
I can
perfect.
hear you.
Yeah, so a lot of inflammation's out of our control, like where we live, unless we move out, live off the grid in a forest, right? But the air that we're breathing in, if they're spraying things in the sky, if someone sprays cologne or perfume and then we breathe all that in, right? But food is in our control, right? And what we drink and how much we move and the supplements that we take, right? And then the quality of our air in our home, in our workspace, we can at least try to control that. But nutrition is a big one, right? So I want to do a quick screen share here of it's just a basic graph showing the rise in omega-6 intake in America, like in the diet. So let me know when you can see this. I think it should pop up. There we go.
There
Can
it
you see
is.
this? So if you look here since 1909, this is omega-6 in terms of calories per person per day. How many of their calories are coming from omega-6 fatty acids in the average American's life, basically, day to day, from 1909 to 2005. So that was obviously, what, 21 years ago when it ended, but it's only gone up since then. There's newer graphs, but this should just show you in general the trend of how that's
Yeah.
rising. What's the issue with this, and what foods contribute to this, Jolie? What can we do about this? And obviously,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Go
to
ahead. No, no,
interrupt
no.
you. The omega-6s, by and large, there's a couple of little exceptions to this, but the omega-6s, by and large, are pro-inflammatory, and we want a balance of omega-6 to omega-3. And
Right.
if we go back to 1909, or we go back even farther, if we go all the way back to hunter-gatherer times, we estimate that we had even amounts of omega-6 and omega-3. It was around a 1-to-1 ratio. And it shouldn't be more than 4-to-1. It'd be okay if omega-6 was only 4 times as high as omega-3. That would be okay. We probably would not be having any health issues if that were the case. But the truth is, when we look at just the North American population, or when we look at military members, veterans, people returning, our war fighters, people returning from active duty, it can be as high as 50-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3. And we think, just sort of to toss off a number that's the average, it's somewhere around 25-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3. And so where you showed that graph, 1909 to 2005, I think it had gone to 3.5 times what the original level was. But when we think about 25-to-1, or in some cases 50-to-1, that's a
Right.
person that's going to be having issues with omega-3, omega-6 balance, and with inflammation balance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you pulled up kind of almost exactly what I just said. Um, so, yay for AI, they got this one really pretty much
Yeah, they
exactly
nailed it.
right.
Just exactly what Jolie was just saying. So ideally, it should be closer to 1-to-1 or 4-to-1,
Yeah,
like no higher than 4-to-1 favoring the omega-6s. And then you
yeah,
could see the typical American diets 15 times the amount of omega-6s to 3s, up to 20. There's even some, yes, here we go, as high as 36-to-1. I was going to say 40, I've
yeah,
seen as
yeah.
well. And then you can see in other areas like high fish intake, like in Japan, they're closer to 4-to-1 as a national average. So very interesting. So what can we do? How do we start reversing this
Well,
ratio?
you
And
know, we
yes.
can we can consume more omega-3s. So that is going to be fish, and it's also going to be things like flaxseed, chia seed. There are walnuts that are rich in omega-3. We can reduce omega-6s, and that is mostly the vegetable oils.
Hmm.
Now, that's not true of avocado or olive oil or grapeseed oil. Those are more of a neutral profile. Those are
Hmm.
more omega-9. They don't really contribute to either omega-3 intake or omega-6 intake, so they don't really have an influence. But if you think about just use olive oil when you're cooking, then you're not using what? Safflower, soy, corn, And soybeans and corn, we really ought to talk about that for a moment because if you're eating traditionally produced meat products, so pork, veal, beef, and they're not grass-fed, and if even if they are grass fed, if they're not grass finished, then what happens to those animals? They end up at sort of at the end of life. Those animals go to feedlots where they feed them corn and or soybeans. And corn and soybeans are 70 times higher in omega-6 than omega-3. So these animals, when they eat that corn and soy, and what does that do to the cow? It fattens the cow up. It adds weight in a big hurry. So that should tell us something about us, right? When we have really excessive amounts of omega-6, it's going to affect our weight, not just the inflammation conversation. But if we don't cook with the corn oil, the soybean oil, the safflower oil, I'm also not a huge fan of canola, although it does
Mm.
have more omega-3,
Okay.
and instead go for olive oil or go for avocado oil, then we're reducing a lot of the omega-6 intake. So, and if we choose grass-fed, and if we eat more fish, the Japanese, one of the reasons why their balance is so good is because they eat so much more seafood than we
Mm.
do.
Right. And seaweed and just in general stuff from the sea, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's important. So, folks, if you're just tuning in, 265 here with Jolie Root. We're doing all things omega-6 to 3 ratios, inflammation, the connection to chronic disease. There's one study that Jolie and I were discussing before we went on here regarding cognitive impairment. It's associated with a low omega-3 index in the elderly. This is from a 2011 study from gerontological geriatric disease, just basically an elderly, like aging journal in the elderly population. So tell us a little bit more about this and what are some practical Carlson options that you've used to help
Yeah.
people actually improve that ratio and
Well,
start improving their cognitive impairment and things of that nature.
what we've found out over about the last 20 years, where we've been able to measure the omega-3 index, which is the red blood cell concentration of EPA and DHA in a ratio to the total fats in the cell membrane. So they take the red blood cell, it's just a little blood spot test, and they analyze the membrane and they see what fats are there and then what percentage of those are EPA and DHA. And what we want ideally is 8%. So 8% of the fats in the cell membrane structure should be EPA and DHA. In North America, it's mostly down at 5% or lower. But what the target is 8%. So what I can tell you as far as what's relative to Carlson, because obviously Carlson is a supplement company and we are known very well for our very high quality omega-3 supplements. So think of the adult body weight person and knowing based on the information that we've learned over 20 years about omega-3 index and about how much omega-3, EPA and DHA intake does it take on average to get an adult body weight person to 8% on that score. And it's around 2,000 milligrams a day. Now, remember that the fish that you eat counts. If you do tuna fish sandwiches at lunch, if you do a nice salad with some salmon on it, that counts, and it counts a lot. But we have a product called Maximum Omega 2000, and it exists because of the science that shows that 2000 is the number that is, for most people, what needs to happen on a daily basis. And the reason that we made Maximum Omega 2000 is because so many people in North America don't eat any fish. If you ate fish, if you had salmon several times a week, or salmon and tuna, or other good omega-3 sources, um, 2 or 3 times a week, then you could probably take 1,000 supplemental EPA and DHA and still get to 8%.
Hmm.
So At Carlson, we've got Elite Omega-3, and that's 1,600 in two soft gels. We've got the Maximum, which is 2,000. And I tell people, if you only eat fish once a week,
Yeah.
realistically, like be honest with yourself. Do you really eat fish more than once a week? If you
No.
do,
No one
so
does. I just want to
if
add to that because that's so.
almost,
I'm glad
yeah,
you brought that up. That happens a lot. It comes up a lot in my clinic when I'm
yeah,
talking one on one with patients. No, couple times a month, maybe. Most
right.
people. It's rare to find weekly fish eaters, so it's a very interesting thing that's come. It sounds so basic,
It
but
does.
no, most people are not anywhere near the ideal 2 to 3 times a week is what they're publishing in medical journals for
Yeah,
cardiovascular and cancer and
yeah.
just different types of nutrition journals. Is 2 to 3 times a week is where it should be. But yeah, keep going. I wanted to add to that. That was important.
No, it's important because we think we're better than we actually are. So just a quick little story. One time at Carlson, we had a big sales meeting. We had all the people from all across the country there, and we did the test
Hmm.
and to see where everyone was, and we mailed it off. And when the results came back, we're in the business. This is what we do. And there were so many people that were not at 8%, that were down around 4 or 5%. And then we
Yeah.
had a contest over a period of months, and Carlson actually gave us all whatever products we wanted to take for that period. And then we measured again, and the
Uh huh.
winners got to go to our facility in Norway, which was,
Really?
lots of fun. The people that improved the most. So I guess
Did you win, Jolie?
I no,
Uh.
I was up there
Uh huh.
already. Plus, I've been,
You've been okay.
I've
So
been
let
to
someone else have a
Norway,
chance then.
so it would be unfair for it to
Right.
be
Right.
me. It would be better for it to be somebody that probably wouldn't go otherwise.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, Maximum Omega is for the non-fish eaters out in the world. Elite Omega-3 is kind of for the non-fish eaters out in the world. And this product, two soft gels, and you don't have to think about it. And the thing that's so cool about it is it's a lemon oil in that soft gel. So some people, in spite of all of our best intentions, I know you tell people to take it with food, and I tell people to take it with food, but some
Yeah.
people are going to grab those two. They're going to drink coffee in the morning and pop them down, and that's what they do. And then they might burp. But if they do with this product, it's a lemon burp. It's not a fishy burp. So
Right.
that's the thing to know. That makes it
It's
easier.
more tolerable.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is the Maximum Omega 2000. This is straight from carlsonlabs.com, folks. And we're coming into the last 5 minutes or so, 6 minutes here with Jolie Root here in episode 265. And this is for people that really don't eat fish a lot at all. Definitely not weekly, maybe a couple times a month, or it's less than 4 times a month. And then you mentioned the one that where people already are having it in the weekly rotation at least. What was the name of that other product?
Elite omega-3.
Gotcha. So let me pull that up here. So which one are you using or have you used before
I take a
in the rotation?
combination, and I'm going for a higher. I'm going for 4,000,
Uh-huh.
and that's just because I'm relentless about hemoglobin A1C and triglyceride levels. At
Right.
my age, I just want to make sure that I am where I want to be with that, and 4,000 is the right number for that. So I actually we make the Elite Omega-3 with vitamin D and vitamin K.
Uh-huh.
It's a combination. And I take three of those and two of our Elite DHA gems, which is a straight DHA. I'm at the age now where cognition is my primary, luckily, knock on wood.
You're doing a specific protocol for you. Yeah. It's just
Yeah,
people always like to hear like what's the guest taking or what have you used before,
yeah,
but that's
yeah,
cool. Thanks for sharing that, Jolie.
yes,
But yeah, we have the Elite Omega 3 gems here. They're both
yeah,
soft gels, both the Max
yes,
Omega 2000 and the Elite Omega 3. This
yeah,
one you can notice per two soft gels, you're getting 2.5 grams of the fish oil, which comes down to 1.6 grams of actual omega 3 fatty acids. By the way, it's
right.
coming from anchovies, sardines, and mackerel. for those interested. Those are some of the highest omega-3 fish and lowest in mercury, right, Jolie? Tell us a little bit
That's right.
about the mercury process. People are,
Well,
that's actually one reason it does come up that people are afraid to get that 2 to 3 times a week intake of fish is because of the
right,
mercury levels and all the other
right.
PCBs and stuff that's
Which,
found in the oceans.
yeah,
But tell us about that a
I
little bit.
understand. So there are no pristine waterways in the world
Yeah.
anymore, and thus, um, those of us that are committed to responsible sourcing on our omega-3 supplements also we have to process the oils.
Right.
And what that does is we can use it to concentrate the potency, but it also helps us to get rid of lead, mercury, cadmium, PCBs, dioxins.
Yeah.
We nitrogen flush our oils through the entire process from boat through to bottling, and that keeps oxygen out. But then we actually send every batch of every omega-3 product that we make
Hmm.
out to Nutrisource Diagnostics, who runs the International Fish Oil Standards Program. And so you'll see on the bottles the little IFOS badge and the little iGen badge. Those are testing for genetically modified organisms. And the reason that we do that is because the consumer can go to Nutrisource's website and pull us up as a brand and actually see what the levels were
Uh-huh.
of any contaminants that they would be concerned about and see that we are well below any threshold of harm.
Amazing.
So if you scroll down on that page, I bet you'll see these are so that's International Fish Oil
Uh-huh.
Standards and iGen. We are Friend of the Sea certified. Carlson, we've been 44 years in the omega-3 business at this point. And
Right.
so, we are absolutely dedicated to having the, highest quality fish oils in the marketplace.
I love it. Yeah, I mean Carlson has been around now. When was we've talked about it in previous episodes, but when was
Yeah.
year one? Like it's been 50 plus years now, is that correct?
It's actually 61 years
61. I
now.
knew it was over 50. Yeah.
Yeah,
So not many companies make it to the 6-1 year mark, folks. 61
true,
years going strong. And
true.
that's Carlson Labs. And we have at least the major heavy hitters here at Healthy Habit. If we ever need to special order some, or if we're out of a product that you've heard us discuss here on previous episodes, we can special order for you through our guy Tyler Rosales. Big shout out to Tyler. He helped set this up.
Hi, Tyler.
Good friend of ours, and he helps everything run smooth behind the scenes. But last couple minutes here, Jolie, is there anything we might have missed that you really wanted to cover? We have a couple minutes here. We did hit on that cognitive impairment note that you wanted to cover, but maybe talk about real quick, at least introduce the different stages of life, like that even babies and kids need EPA,
Yeah,
DHA, DPA. At least highlight that this isn't
yeah.
just for people 65 and over, what we're
Oh
talking about here
no.
today.
No, it's prenatal all the way to geriatric. So a pregnant woman, we want adequate omega-3 so that she carries full term and so that her baby gets the best start in life as far as vision and cognition and mood and sleeping through the night sooner. There are a lot of benefits for very young babies to have a mother that was well nourished and then remains well nourished through hopefully the breastfeeding period.
Right.
And then we start the kids on omega-3. We don't mess around. So learning, focus, concentration, behavior, talking about children, mood and behavior going through adolescence. And already we're setting the stage for healthy cardiovascular health because the guidelines now for cholesterol and for cardiovascular screening, they're starting in pediatrics now with checking children and finding out if they are at risk. And so where the heart is concerned, I mentioned triglyceride levels because that's something that I watch for myself. But
Yeah.
better levels of HDL, larger, more buoyant particles when we talk about the lipoproteins, rather
Exactly.
than having the very small atherogenic, injure the blood vessel
100%.
lipoproteins. We want them large and buoyant and fluffy. That's an omega-3 benefit. Blood pressure. Normal within the normal range, that's another omega-3 benefit. And that's something that really starts in early adulthood as a concern. So even the big conversation these days, of course, is GLP-1, right? And
Yeah.
people losing weight. And what happens with omega-3s with weight loss is they really ramp up fat burning on a cellular level, and they put the brakes on fat storage. So the the weight loss component is enhanced when people are putting these omega-3s into their daily consumption.
Right.
So, we didn't talk about vision, and we barely talked about the brain, but there
Yeah.
are just so many
Right.
benefits. It's lifelong, yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
is the message.
Well, this was a perfect one to at least introduce all this for 2026 for someone that's brand new to the podcast or brand new to Carlson Labs, and we can build from here in future episodes. I think we have a couple scheduled for this year. So, thanks, Jolie, for your time. I really appreciate it. Should people just
You're
head to
welcome.
carlsonlabs.com for now as a starting point? Is
Yeah,
that a good?
that's the best place to go learn. And we've got blogs on there with articles. Laurel and I, our other nutritionist, I think she's coming on with you later in the year. So,
Perfect.
there's a lot of good education available on the website. It's not just marketing. So,
Gotcha. And then, of course, head over to Healthy Habit Health Foods, folks, or call us at 602-252-6000. Again, that's 602-252-6000. I have those underneath the video as well. Jolie, thanks for your time. You're amazing. Appreciate it.
thanks. Great to be with you.